Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's edition of RE379, where I take old stories I've narrated and update into modern audio standards. This particular story is called For the Taking, written by shoguncdn. Captain Grala strode into the forward command center, his reputation preceding him, causing the various lower-ranking staff to snap hastily to attention, with equal parts fear and nervousness. The ranking officer in charge smoothed the fur on his face and assumed a submissive posture as the captain approached. The war with the humans was going badly, and the current situation at the outpost was reflective of that. The Mandate had come across this system quite by accident when a freighter had gone off course and discovered a planet rich with resources. By galactic law, the Mandate claimed salvage rights, as the inhabitants of the planet had not yet developed hyperdrive capabilities. The Mandate forces soon arrived to claim what was theirs. What should have been a simple operation had turned into a nightmare for the Mandate. The hairless bipeds may not have conquered space, but the entire race seemed to have been bred for war. Their speed and stamina were astonishing enough, but what separated them from most species in the galaxy was their ability to take in and process information on the fly. They reacted to changes within battles by quickly adapting and reforming their alliance and tactics. When the commanders were killed, a new one would step up and assume control. Even lone soldiers seemed to be able to improvise with stunning effectiveness, as one squad of Mandate had found out after a few of them had been ambushed by a human soldier wielding nothing but a pointed stick. Only 3 Mandate out of 15 survived the attack, and of those 3, 2 were so traumatized they were deemed unfit for service and vented from the airlock on one of the Mandate ships. By comparison, the Mandate, like most other species, was slow to compensate for such losses. The galaxy simply did not evolve this quickly, except here on Earth. Most spacefaring species took close to 10,000 years to get into space from the time they discovered the principles of electricity. Such a feat took time to research and study and deliberate. If human records were to be believed, they achieved the same feat in less than 200. The first few hours of the attack had gone according to plan. The humans had been caught off guard by the sudden appearance of the Mandate ships and offered no resistance. Landing ships were deployed near the cities, and troops began to offload equipment, getting any humans in near vicinity to establish beachheads. That's when everything began to fall apart. The Mandate assumed that any species without hyperdrive would also not have anything more than primitive weaponry. This was a perfectly reasonable assumption, but apparently the humans had been at war with each other for years and brought weapons almost as advanced as the Mandate had. Apparently, the same condition that made them so flexible in times of crisis also made them somewhat reckless in dealing with each other, and they were quick to begin wars and quicker to find better ways to kill each other. The Mandate ground forces soon began taking heavy losses as they tried to advance on the Earth capitals. Only their superior weaponry and orbital capabilities prevented it from becoming a complete rout. But the humans soon adapted by moving their military resources on the battlefield quickly, not giving the Mandate time to adjust and plan properly for strikes. Then, the insane humans began launching nuclear missiles over their own planet. Many of the missiles were struck down, but the humans seemed to have an endless supply, and the few that got through the Mandate ship's defenses were devastating. Completely bypassing shielding meant to stave off beam weapons, not megaton nuclear explosions. Mandate High Command was at a loss to explain why a species would have a stockpile of nuclear weapons that could destroy their entire planet several times over. As the galaxy looked on, the Mandate were in a terrible position. It appeared that the preeminent species in the galaxy was being beaten back by some primitive animals. If this continued, the Mandate were looking at a possibility of losing some of their systems to revolt or outright theft by other species. They were being made to look weak. The decision was made to take Earth at all costs and make an example of the humans, and hundreds of Mandate ships dropped into near-Earth orbit with millions of soldiers. The ships could offer no help other than as transport because they had to stay out of range of nuclear missiles. The ground reinforcements were helping due to their sheer numbers, but the humans knew the terrain, and every inch of ground came at an astonishing cost. Captain Grella had reflected on all of this on the short ride from rear command post. His unit of 1,000 warriors was to have taken the lightly guarded refinery days ago, but the damned humans had repelled every push, inflicting heavy casualties. "Update!" the captain demanded gruffly, his eyes fixed on the target on a slight rise from their position. The sergeant in charge of the squad involuntarily twitched his short tail as he tried to find his voice. "The humans have created fortified defenses, sir, and are holding the facility despite our best efforts." Captain Grell violently struck the officer with a heavy third paw. "This I know. It is why I am here. What I do not know is why. Reports indicated that there are only a few dozen humans defending the target." The sergeant remained on the floor, a small pool of dark blue blood staining the ground from the cut above his eye. "As far as we know, it is true. But each time we have advanced, team leaders are killed before we even get a fighting range." "Then why haven't we fought back?" snarled the captain. "We don't know where they are. They are shooting from concealment. Soldiers are reporting that the shots are coming from rocks, bushes, even from completely empty ground. But we have never seen the humans move to those positions, unless they have the ability to stay in one position for days just to kill us. We don't know how they are doing it. Our soldiers are now afraid to even go out. Their hackles are raised at every boulder or bump in the terrain. We have killed some of our troops to make an example to others, but this has not improved morale," the sergeant replied. "How many have we lost?" 320 soldiers, plus the 6 cowards we killed ourselves." "And how many humans have we eliminated?" The sergeant paused at this. "We think 4. It is difficult to be certain. The humans drag their wounded back behind their lines for some reason, so we don't know if the injured ones die or not." The captain had heard of this behavior and shook his head. His rounded snout began to twitch in anger. This operation was indicative of how the invasion was going from all reports across the planet, and now there was word that systems of the man-led had secured centuries ago were beginning to cause trouble, as the military resources had all been diverted here. He shuddered to think what would happen to the man-led empire if the species under their control could actually see what the humans were doing to their forces. No matter what happened anywhere else, though, Captain Grell was going to take the facility and personally feast on the flesh of whoever commanded the humans. He had brought another 500 soldiers and heavy armor to the battle. One way or another, this would end today. "I understand that you have established communications with the facility," the captain said. "Yes, well, they captured one of our soldiers and have been broadcasting noise over his comm to us constantly. It seems to consist of heavy pounding sounds repeated in a rhythm that the humans seem to enjoy. We had to abandon the frequency," the sergeant replied. "Good, I will speak to them myself." The captain snapped as the comms operator brought him over to a headset, then engaged the translator and opened the channel, nodding to the captain as it opened. With no speakers wired, the sergeant could only listen to the captain's side of the conversation. Humans, this is if you want to live, you will have to turn off that noise," the captain shouted. "That's better. I am Captain Grell. My men told me that you have fought bravely. Our people respect good soldiers. However, to die in a vein is foolish. I know you can see what we have brought: more soldiers and armored vehicles. This is a battle you cannot win. Now lay down your weapons and surrender, and I promise you all the quick deaths." The room paused, all eyes on the captain as he listened for the response. Finally he said, "You've made a wise choice." The captain removed the headset. "Sergeant, even these humans know the rational choice when they see it. Prepare your men to move on the facility. I want to be at the head of the column when they enter it." The sergeant nodded as the captain left the room. Once he was gone, the sergeant turned to the comm officer. "You were listening. What exactly did the humans say?" The comms officer looked puzzled. "They seem to have given up. When the captain ordered them to lay down their weapons, they just said, 'Come and take them.'" End of story. I'd quickly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members: Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.